Hey everybody, welcome back to another Simulacra Developer Diary. My name's CJ. So I thought I would do things a little bit differently this week. I'm starting out in one of my main texturing tools. It's a program called Substance Designer, and it's made by Allegorithmic. And the reason I'm starting out here is a lot of the work that I've been doing is a little bit more art-oriented, a little bit of look development, and a little bit of work on cloth. So um, on the look development side, this is kind of a test orb that I kind of use to, try out different texturing looks, make sure that any kind of base materials that I'm putting together look correctly. And sorry, what I mean by materials is like the combination of a couple of different textures to create something like, say, painted metal or uh, rust or dirt or any of those kind of things before applying them to any of the kind of production models. So that way I've got a nice kind of a baseline that I know works and is balanced and works with a variety of like, round, smooth, and flat, and sharper edged, and mechanical details, so on and so forth. So one of the things that I've been doing there is kind of this idea of maybe creating a look that is a little bit kind of like everything is a hand-painted figurine. So has a little bit of kind of very low level detail, like it's kind of painted strokes. Hopefully that comes through after the YouTube compression. Um, and then also in the textures themselves, um, this kind of idea of kind of emphasizing the sense of volume with the amount of saturation and value. So darker areas that are a little bit more recessed will have kind of a deeper tone to them and a little bit more saturation. And then areas that are a little bit more exposed have a lighter, less saturated color applied. And this is kind of coming from I really want to create something that looks a little bit more illustrative rather than hyperreal. So even though something like this looks, excellent, it looks like real metal, it looks like, really nice kind of painted metal and stuff like that. Especially for the backgrounds, I'm hoping to create something a little more soft, a little bit more illustrative, so that the background feels really, really nice and cohesive and really gives you kind of a nice sense of scale. But then also, similarly to if you've seen any of the art direction for Diablo and similar games, making sure that the player character and anything that they're doing and interacting with is really popping out nicely, so you're not, kind of fighting to play the game itself. So by keeping the background a little bit softer, a little lower contrast, I can create a really nice, hopefully a really nice play space for the higher contrast player character that's got metal and glows on them and stuff like that, so that they really pop out nicely. And so yeah, basically the idea here is by using the node generation, I can create a node like this one that will effectively texture the model in a certain way. So right now the only thing that I can tweak is the color, because I haven't exposed any of the other kind of tools for it. But I can use this kind of as a very basic way of starting out the model texturing process and then layering on more and more details to create something that looks really nice, hopefully. So then on the other end, the other thing that I was working on is, if I pull in the actual correct model for it, are these pieces of hanging cloth that I modeled and baked out. So this is kind of a temporary, kind of more geometric pattern and color scheme, but by setting this up in Substance Designer, so it's basically, if you're not familiar, it's taking this pattern that I put together and is kind of stamping it into the middle and creating a ring of them. But at any point I can change any of these parameters and it will flow all the way through to the end and create the finished texture. So it gives me a really nice ability to, ooh, that's a little much. Actually, I kind of like that. As well, as you can see, you can both discover things, but also really maintain and keep things up to date, which is really important for, especially a team of one like myself. So, and similarly, whoop, sorry, I've been having intermittent mouse issues. It freaks out every so often. And similarly, I can drag in a different color scheme and it will create an entirely different look that I can try out. And at any time, if I change something, especially on kind of a higher level, I can go in and I can actually do a batch generation of all of the textures, and it will send them out, and then I just need to import them into Unreal and they're good to go. Like for example, this is a utility node that I put together that actually packs together the different channels that I can use in the material editor. So it packs the metallic into one channel, the roughness into another, the ambient occlusion into another, so that I have the ability to use those kind of automatically almost. So I'm pretty happy with the way these are coming along. They're in no way finished, but definitely a fun start. So if I switch over to Unreal itself, you'll see, well, this is the one of the tents that I've been working on, and this is the hanging cloth that you just saw actually working in-game. So it's been really fun getting those up and running and getting something that's a little bit more finished for the dwellers, because I've been focusing on the enemy and player stuff for a while. So it was kind of fun to do something that was a little more naturalistic. So and as you can see, getting it kind of blowing in the breeze right now, that's just a simple shader trick. It's if you're not familiar, you can use the world position offset in the material to control the geometry of an object, and that basically means that you can do simple things like wind and other things, and then I'm controlling that using vertex painting. So you'll see that the wind is being applied to the main body of the cloth, but it's not ripping itself off. It's not ripping itself off of the pole. It's not dragging the cloth that should be kind of sitting on the ground because of the friction that it would be applying. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy with that at least as a start. You can see intermittent issues every so often. The wind will blow and you'll see a little shards appear. So I'll need to fix some of those, but at least as a start, I'm really happy with it. And we'll definitely be iterating both on the texturing process, but also on what's actually in engine. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for the main work for the week. If you are interested and you did not see, I did a little bit more of an in-depth video on the procedural encounters. It was something that I touched on the last developer diary video, and got a couple of requests to do a little bit more of an in-depth look. So if you're into blueprints and the actual nitty-gritty of how the game's being put together, definitely check that out. It's in the tutorial videos on the YouTube channel. And we're coming up on the end of the milestone, and so in the coming week I'll probably be doing a little bit more of my standard kind of locking all of the details down, doing a little bit more play testing, making sure that the game is nice and solid, so when I put out a build to coincide with the end of the milestone, it's nice and solid for anyone that wants to play it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, if you have any thoughts or comments, definitely leave them down below. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend and that I see you again here soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.